Hi everyone, my name is Mba Heritage, and so this conversation promises to be a very educative one because these are issues that affect young people, as it were. If you are, if you seen people, or if you grew up from a community, a background where opportunities are kind of limited, or you are faced with a lot of pressures around you to make something out of life, you understand why it is needed for us to have this conversation. And the person that will also be speaking to us happens to have gone through this process of personal limitation or general life limitation, and they're going to be giving us insight on how they were able to navigate through them all. You understand? So I believe it's going to be a very good one. And if you're out there and you're listening, I would like you to start penning down your questions. If you have questions, if you have contributions, you can start putting them together so that when it's time for you to ask, you will just go ahead to ask. Yes. Our guest will be joining us soon so that we can kick off the conversation in earnest. We don't want to keep anyone waiting. Yeah. Welcome. Welcome, Onyi.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm very fine. Thank you. And you?
Yeah, I'm doing good too as well. Thank you. So like I was saying, that the conversation is to help us, it's to give insight to why these challenges, how we can navigate it. And you coming from similar background or similar pressure-based issues like that, I know you can share from the wealth of your experience and how you were able to come out of it, and you're still proactive with whatever thing you were doing, as it were, because I know growing up in Makoko can be very challenging, limited opportunity, a lot of pressures, especially as a girl child, but you were able to do something, live above it, and maybe you might not be where you want in quotes, but so far so good, you have at least gotten to a level that is worth commendation and worth emulating. So, and I know in our conversation today, you will do well to share more insight to how you were able to do that. Right.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
So can you just give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Okay, my name is Onyi Isreal, and I'm a graduate of Economics and Statistics Education from the University of Benin. I am married and I have 4 kids. On my path to self-development, we have not gotten there. We are going there. It's a step-by-step thing, and I'm so happy to be in your live video today.
All right. Thank you for joining us again. So without wasting much time, we'll dive into the conversation, So I wanted it to be a conversation about, of course, let me allow you to give your opening statement to the team that we are looking at, living above your personal limitations. So let me allow you to give like an opening remark or statement to it, so we can lay the foundation or the baseline that will help us to further on in the conversation.
Okay, thank you. When we talk about living above personal limitation, it's something that everyone should be concerned about, because in one way or the other, everyone is affected by it. Now, when we talk about limitations, first of all, limitations has to do with the things that hinder one or restricts one from achieving their aim or goal. They are boundaries that stop one from living living out what you intend to do. So, and when you bring it down to personal limitations, it implies that limitation is individualistic. The limitation I might be facing in a particular place situation might be totally different from the limitation another person might be facing. So personal limitation has to do with the different limitations we as individuals actually face in one situation or the other. When we are talking about limitations, it's basically divided. We have the one of internal limitation and another one external limitation. Internal limitation has to do with the challenges within life that is seen by others, but they can actually show themselves, while others will notice it. For instance, if somebody lacks knowledge or skill in certain things, it's referred to as internal limitation. But in the case of today, looking at limitations, which, like you mentioned earlier, also involves environmental. So I'm glad to be on this journey with you, and I hope time today.
All right. Thank you for giving that opening remark. So I was saying that thank you for laying the baseline, opening remark about what it means to when we talk about personal limitation. So can you give us a brief insight to how you were able to navigate it growing up from a personal experience? How you were able to, because I understand that your community where you grew up, you had a lot of limitations around you, especially as a girl child. How can you highlight some of these limitations that could have made you not to thrive, and how you were able to come out of it or live above them?
Okay, like you said, the first limitation is environmental limitation. Growing up in an environment where there was not much visibility about education, where there was not much, there were not many available facilities that will help to enhance your growth. And looking at it, that some living around are not actually conversant with happening outside of their environment. Their perception is totally limited by that particular environment. It was a challenge. It was a challenge there because basic facilities were not accessible. So it's kind of in that some of the things you could have done, it's in you, because maybe sometimes you want to do something with the light and you end up not having lights, and other things like that. But one thing that actually helped me was education. I'll keep saying it. The use of a lot of saying school na scam, something like that. But I want to say it that school not be scam. Education is not a scam. What helped me majorly was education, because my school where I went to, apart from the normal school environment that we were in, oftentimes they would take us out to what we call for programs. They will take us out for programs when they invite people to come and talk to us. So during those programs, I'll just look at the speakers that came to speak to us, and when they talk, when they share their challenges, they share some of the things that they have been through and how they were able to surmount them. It helped me to see that this thing that I'm facing is really surmountable. It's not impossible. People like I met them like Debola Williams. Yes, Debola Williams. There's nowhere. Abike Dabiri. It was some of those programs that exposed me to some of those people. Even today, yeah, I met them. By the time they spoke to us and they really said something to us, it helped me to look away from the immediate environment. me to really see that away from this place, there's another God that still exists. So those programs exposed me to certain set of people that I started becoming focused. So instead of just living my life anyhow, I want to say, okay, I remember Debola Williams was saying something, and he said he graduated from university at age 24, something like that. But then I was like, really? Well, I see so many old people struggling to go to university. There was something that was already a graduate at a very young age. So it helped me to really know that. I remember then I took a book and I started writing down the different stages that were in front of me. And at this age, I want to have finished this. At this age, I want to have finished this. At this age, I want to have finished this. So it helped me to be focused. So, like I said, the major key point here is exposure. Who are you exposed to? So although growing up in an environment that is not very good, I was exposed to certain kind of that helped fashion my perception about life. And one thing about this environmental limitation is that if you have stayed in a particular environment for a long time, you unconsciously begin to imbibe the culture of that environment.
Yeah.
It starts affecting your mentality, which is another type of limitation. And when it starts affecting your mentality, the first thing that happens is that it affects you, your self-esteem, how you see yourself, how you look at yourself, how you believe in yourself. It affects you. And when it has affected your self-esteem, your perception about yourself, it also affects how you relate with other people. Because when even given the opportunity to move into certain circle of people, and you believe you are not worth them, you will find it difficult to relate with them. And you said?
Yeah, I'm following.
Okay, so when it affects you, affects the people you relate with, it even ends up affecting your career, your pursuits in life. Because when you don't believe in yourself, when you don't have good connectivity, you tend to aim low. You tend to think low of yourself and think less of your ability. But somebody can be telling you such great ability, you have such great potentials, I think you can go higher. But you yourself, you're not seeing yourself like that. You just tell yourself, okay, let me just do this thing. Let me just do it for the sake of doing it. You're not aiming for excellence. So that is how far environment can go to affect people.
Can you hear me?
There?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right. So thank you for that. Thank you so much. I'm enjoying the conversation myself. You know, like you mentioned that one thing that helped you was education. I myself have always been a strong promoter and advocate of quality education, no matter how, where, and whatever means you want to get it. I always, want to promote it because to some persons or a lot of persons who are coming from a community or a background that is not well to do, the only leverage or playing ground you have is education.
Yes.
Because education can give you the access to, those inner circles or exposure that you need. You understand?
Yes.
Because the fact of the matter is, when you are not educated and you don't have anything to offer, nobody will want to listen to you. At least if you are educated, at some point, you get to doors. Even if you cannot enter the doors, you get to doors where maybe then we can now talk about networking. The community that you've been able to build to now give you access. But when you don't have any of these, you will be so limited to the level you can go in life. And like you mentioned again, that the environmental factor, yes, it's a major influence again, because sometimes you might have the ability to thrive, but because of where you are, you'll be limited. Sometimes You just have to leave that circle, that environment, and go somewhere else. Just like the
Yes.
parable of the sower. Some seeds were viable, but because of the environment, they could not thrive.
Yes.
So sometimes
Yes.
it's not a factor of you not having the capacity to
Yes.
bloom, to thrive, but it's a
Thank
factor
you.
of the environment.
Yes,
You
this is
get.
something I really believe in. But there's something I used to say. There are some lands that kill seeds. There are some lands that destinies. There are some places that you will be, though you are talented, gifted, or have certain potentials, you will not have the available resources to be able to thrive or make those things
Mm-hmm.
find expressions. Are you getting it? But there are some places to find yourself, and you just find out that some of these things are easy, and it helps you to leverage on them and explore the world in a positive way. So environment is very, very important. In fact, I will actually say, if you're in an environment and that environment is not favorable to you, if you get an opportunity of leaving that environment
Mm-hmm.
in a better place, I will advocate for it, that you should go for it.
Yeah. All
Yes.
right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this. I wish a lot of young persons can hear this and make use of it, because sometimes your environment can confine you. It becomes a comfort zone. It becomes a
Yeah.
comfort zone, and when you are so relaxed in your comfort zone, you tend to not see the opportunities around you.
Yes.
Even if you look at those who are already well to do, they are not relenting. They still want to do more, because
Yeah.
humans, we have this insatiable nature. Even
Yes.
when you have a million, you want to make 2 millions. You want to make 3 million, 4 million,
Exactly.
because of that desire to do more. Because you believe you can do more. But when you're in a comfort zone, you feel so relaxed, and
Yeah. I
it makes you not to see the bigger picture. You
Yes.
understand? And one other area of education that can really help is that exposure, like going out, excursion. Those are other form of education that people can really leverage on. Yeah. So yeah, you mentioned education. What other thing helped you growing up? What other thing helped you to live above those personal limitations? Now I want you to come from the angle of a girl child, considering, okay, your pets can be having they're already talking about relationship. They're already talking, you can see maybe your pets already getting pregnant. You can see those who are already getting money, living flashy lifestyle, and these are pressures. If care is not taken, you can fall into it, and it kills whatever vision or dream you have for yourself. How are you able to remain focused, remain committed, or put yourself in a way that you didn't allow those things to get to you?
Okay. Thank you for this question. I think the most important thing that helped me was determination. Determination. I
Okay.
mentioned focus earlier on. Apart from the focus, the next thing that helped me was determination. I was personally determined not to flow with the tide. It was like this is the norm in this society. Yes, you're growing up at
Okay.
certain age, you're expected to be in a relationship, you're expected to mess yourself around. That is what is defined as being the happening person. That is what is defined as being the person sought after. That was the norm in that particular society. So you find
Mm-hmm.
out that your friends start moving with certain kinds of people, start doing some things. Some of them even start getting pregnant. So it was so, the pressure was so much that after school, some of my friends would be like, "Hey, Onyi, we are going somewhere to see somebody. I want us to go together." At a point you are tempted to really want to go with them, but looking at the determination that I've already, that I don't want to live this kind of lifestyle. So when those pressures were coming,
Mm.
the things that held me back, I had a vision, I had a focus of the kind of life I want for myself. I'd seen a picture of it. So when this pressure started coming in, I just held on to my determination. And no, one thing is, by the time they go and they come back with so many gifts. They come back with so many things. I know some of them will be like,
I know, right?
I'm not giving you because you didn't go with us. You got it? So the pressure was
Yeah.
there. Determination that I had that helped me scale through. So no matter where the pressure was coming from the male side, from the female side, I just held on to myself that no, this is not the kind of life I want to live. And I was able to surmount those obstacles at that time.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that response. I know how it can be, especially for girls child going in a community like Makoko, Iwaya, Ajegole, and the likes or no. You understand? The things you see around you are nothing to even write home about. But then you were able to go through because you were focused. Were you at some point also considering the kind of family you were coming from? Did you also see, did you have this urge that I want to make my family proud? Because I see a lot of young persons and they just, when you ask them some life basic questions, they give you answers like, I don't care. I just want to live life the way it unfolds. I wake up in the morning, whatever thing I see, I take it. Not considering where you are coming from or where you are going. So for you, did you ever consider, okay, this my family, the kind of family I'm coming from, I don't have to live this kind of life so that it doesn't dent the image of the family, and because of where I'm going to, I need to also create something good for myself.
Okay, yes, it was also a major factor. Looking at the kind of family I was coming from, I told myself I wanted more. I wanted something better. It was that environment. It was just like, when you go to secondary school, you come out, you start working, you start some certain menial jobs. So
Yeah.
I said I didn't want that kind of life. I wanted more from life. And looking at my family, I said, if I live this normal life everybody's living, how am I going to help my family? So I knew to help my family, I had to be more, I had to do more. So that was also something that helped me to stretch myself. And it's really the fact that my parents already tried. They tried so much for us. My mom did so many things. My father did so many things. I remember my mom telling me, oh, you really want to go to school? Yes, you're going to go to school. Even if it means me selling the last drop I have to send you to school, you are going to go to that school, no matter what it's going to take. Because she was so
Mm.
determined to really make something out of us. So that was also
Yeah.
something that I determined that, oh, how can I, they've trusted me so much, they've given me so much in their own way, how will I just allow that trust to go down the drain? How will I just, fail them? So that was also something that kept me in check. The fact that I knew where I was coming from, and I knew that I didn't want to let them down, it also helped me.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much. I really hope people who are in this situation now can learn from this, because see, we sometimes we see ourselves that we cannot do so much. Meanwhile, we have the capacity to do those things. At the moment, challenges might be numerous. They might look insurmountable, like bringing you down, nothing looks good, and all of that. But within you, there is this strength that is there that can, if only you can allow it, and with the grace of God. And this brings me to the question where I know you are a Christian. Was there a God factor to all of these things while you were growing, while you were navigating life as a young person? Was there God's factor in it, or it was just your own determination, focus, and maybe the people around you that were helping you to navigate this whole process?
Of course, the God factor has always been there. If not for God, I wouldn't be anything today. Because there were times I made mistakes and God actually helped me up. So the God factor was also there. I was also conscious of the fact that God was with me. God expected certain things from me. So I also didn't want to let God down. And in my journey of
Yeah.
becoming, one thing that has helped me in my journey is that I got to a place where I stayed with God and I told God, who am I? And away from the environment I was raised, away from where I'm coming from, away from people's perception, I have to sit down with
Yeah.
God and say, who am I? So God took me to his word and God practically transformed me with his word. You remember the book of Romans chapter 12 verse 2 that says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed
God.
by the renewing of your mind. So I went to the word of God and the word of God transformed me. I began to see myself in the light of what God says I am. I began to think of myself as who God thinks of me. So when God says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me, when God spirit of excellence, I am not thinking about it. I know it. It has rested in me.
Yeah.
I began to live out what God has said about me. I didn't just wait and say, oh, what is prevalent in my society? What is prevalent in my situation? No. I asked myself, what does God say about this thing? What does God think about this thing? So no matter what am I
Yeah.
referring, I place it side by side with what God says, and I go for what God says. So even if now things are perfect in a particular situation, I look at what God says. God says this is what should be. I don't say to that thing that I am seeing. I keep pushing on to God, holding on to God until what He says about that situation comes to pass in my life. So that was a major but God factor. Without God, I am practically nothing. God is the essence of my life. So He has been one help me, and He's still the one now, and He's one. So He is a major factor in my growth journey.
Wow. So God has always been in the process.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I wanted to ask a question. It's a funny one. You know, sometimes when you're trying to be different, so you get this tag on yourself. Let's say you want to be different from your peer. They'll start calling you maybe pastor. They'll start
No,
calling you mommy Gio. They will start calling you SU. Were you
yes,
at some point called any of these
a
just in
lot
your
of,
quest of being different?
a lot. Like really a lot. No, looking at the kind of life I wanted to live, I knew that my association matters. So when I start
Mm-hmm.
some lifestyle that does not align with my vision, I cut myself from them. No, it comes with words like you too they do too much. Can you just calm down? So people will say, oh, you're a snob. You know that kind of a thing. Even pastor, it was a normal word for us because I was always going for church activities and all that. So that one was also a normal tag. What I'm trying to say is those words were there. People said, oh, you're doing too much. At a point in time, even if you're not careful, you begin to ask yourself, are you sure I'm not doing too much? You understand? That time we come when people are saying you are doing too much, you are too this, you are too strong, you are too reserved, you are too that. At a point in time, if you're not careful, even you will begin to think so. But I had to sit down and tell myself, people have not seen the blueprint of where I am going to. I have seen going to. They may not understand the reason for my actions today, but I know that it is a discipline I have to stay and go through in order for me to achieve that which I aim to achieve. So if you are in a situation that are doing things like this to you, don't be moved. I want to encourage you that you should know that you are the one that where you are going to. They have not seen it, so don't blame them. Just continue to be who you are. Continue to work
Yeah.
towards. Don't mind the naysayers. At the end of the day, you will reach your destination.
At this point, this is where we say amen. Well, it's been an awesome conversation. I just wanted to say something, to the listeners, to every young person out there who is also going through this phase of life, and they are being faced with a lot of challenges, pressures here and there. You were able to do it. I just wanted to tell them Was it an easy journey? Was it an easy journey? If it was an easy journey, tell us. If it was not an easy journey to stay different, also tell them so that they know that I was able to do it. Though it was not easy, but I was able to do it. And if I can do it, you can also do it.
Okay, it was not really an easy job. It's a lot of discipline, like I said earlier on, a lot of depriving myself of things I ordinarily should have. So I deprived myself of so many things, so many pleasures in God, you know, so many pleasures, because I knew where I was going to. I knew that there were distractions. You know, the Bible made us to understand that all things are lawful, but all things are not expedient. So sometimes going to the cinema might be good, it might be good, but I know that I have a class I have not read for that class. So instead of going to the cinema, I tell myself, let me stay at home and read and prepare for my class tomorrow. So it came with a lot of deprivation, financial deprivation, that God was helping me all the way and helped me to be able to continue on this journey.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So you guys have heard it. It's not an easy journey. It's never an easy one. It's not going to be easy, and it will not be easy. But in all of these, you can go through life and come out strong from it, irrespective of the challenges, irrespective of whatever it is that might be the pressure at the moment. You've heard it from our guests. It was never an easy journey, and it will never be, even till tomorrow. But do you have the capacity within you to be different, to come out of it victorious? Yes. Can you make it? Yes. Can you do it? Yes. But you have to be resilient. You have to be focused. You have to, put God in the journey. And believe me, you are going to skate through all these hurdles and challenges of life. Yes, and especially for girl child, it is more, the pressure is more. The pressure is everywhere around you. Relationship, peer pressure, and a whole lot of things just coming to you left and right. If care is not taken, you can make mistake. But you need to, at every point of your life, have a time where you, do a self-appraiser. Check through, where am I? Where am I coming from? Where do I want to get to? This will help you to say, okay, I've done this. I need to do this. I will need to go there. I will need to meet this person. Life is not a bed of roses. Truth. Life is not a bed of roses. Life, even if you're born without a silver spoon, you can still create a perfect golden spoon for yourself tomorrow. So your current situation is not a determinant of where you will be tomorrow. It's just a phase of your life that you need to understand. You need to realize and then make effort to live above and beyond it. And as you've heard from our guest, she has said a lot about how she was able to navigate it. You understand? And I know you have taken one or two things from that as well. And we are rounding up already. I will just allow her to give like a final thought, a final statement to this conversation. If you're going to give your younger self an advice, what would that be? And then give us your closing thoughts on this conversation. Thank you.
Okay, if I should give myself an advice, it would be one thing: don't settle for less. Don't settle for less. You have so much potential in you, so much gifts, so much ability. That course, that pursuit you think is too big, is too high, is not too high. You are equal to the task. All you need is to see it and you will get it. So to our listeners today, I want to encourage you that this growth journey is not something you achieve in one day. It's a continual process. You might not be there yet, You might be facing one challenge or the other. I would like to advise you to do a self-appraisal, to sit down, be sincere with yourself, ask yourself certain questions. This thing I'm facing, what is the cause? What is the reason for this thing? So ask yourself, be sincere with it, acclimatize yourself with your situation. And after that, give yourself to learning, give yourself to mental transformation. You might not have the necessary things to move away from your environment for now, but in that environment, begin to read books, begin to listen, go far, invest in knowledge, grow yourself in that one room that you are. Read good books. And at the end of the day, you will see things will begin to align for your good. And you begin to live out your dream. So give yourself to personal development. Then keep growing. Don't settle, keep growing. Then most importantly, the God factor. The God factor. You have to put God first in what you are doing. Because He's the one that orders us to perfection. So this is the advice I would like to give to our listeners today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Onyi Israel, for joining us in this conversation. We had some technical issues yesterday, but you were still able to create time for us today to join this conversation. We don't have money, but we are saying thank you for making our time, and it has been an amazing one for us. And I believe those who listened or those who will watch later will also gain one or two value from it, as it were. And we hope to bring you on again in our next conversation. It might not be live. We might have to bring you on physically so that people can see you as well. Thank you so much, and it was a good one having you join us today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much. So, and to all our listeners, this was meant to be yesterday's conversation. It's our night school, and every day, every week, we bring a conversation as it relates to young people and how you are able to navigate it, especially those who are coming from a low-income family or you were born without a silver spoon. I believe you can do it. I know you can do it, irrespective of where you're coming from, your background, your challenges. Even if you're born without a silver spoon, you can create one for yourself. Thank you. I will see you again next week, Friday. Bye.